now that the dust has kind of settled for a lot of teams in the Big Ten, and I know you probably haven't had a ton of time to go over this yet.
Oh, I actually have. I had a project that I had to do. So
I wish we'd have started talking about this 10 minutes ago then. So where are the chips falling? What say the daggone it, bracket analyst Mike DeCourcy?
Well, I think this is red meat for the show that we're having here, that we're doing here, because if you look at it, for me, it's Purdue, Indiana, and UCLA next season. Those are the teams that are the ones to beat in the Big Ten as of now. Now, there's still players out there, and there's still some things that could happen or whatever. But for me, those are the three teams that are in position. Now, I believe that in any season, as we saw last year, when two of the top teams in the league, Nebraska and Northwestern, were not predicted high at all, but the schedule worked out and they played great, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of teams in there that could in the Big Ten, but there are some teams that should. That's what you're trying to begin the season as, one of the teams that should. And I think that Indiana and Purdue fit into that category. Indiana still, for me, it's a little bit about how does he mix it so that it works? Because you look at if you look at the five guys that I think most people pencil in as starters, because I got a lot of pushback when I said that you can't take a fifth-year senior who started multiple seasons and put him on the bench, and I got a lot of people saying, "Oh, yes, you can. You can put Trey Galloway on the bench." Okay, but so let's just take the five that are in the other category then. The two transfer guards, Mbako, Renew, and Omar Ballo. You still don't have a lot of shooting there. A lot of proven shooting. Okay, so now you got to figure out how do you work that in. Well, and then also, even if you put Trey back into the starting lineup, I think you can get him back to being a 40% three-point shooter, because he won't be constantly having to make his own plays. Now they got playmaking. And so I think you can get him back to a good number. But how do you get Luke Goody on the floor so you can get what you recruited there and what your team has obviously needed? Or does Mbako become a more reliable three-point shooter? It's there. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's there. He's got to be right now while we're talking in the gym. Not literally, but figuratively, he's got to be in the gym while we're talking, working on that jump shot, because they need that. Whatever you do with Luke Goody, you need Mbako to become a high 30 shooter. Reasonable volume, maybe 60, 70, 80 makes, and shooting somewhere between 37.5 and 40. If you can get that from him, you can win. Purdue, I obviously, you lose the greatest player in college basketball over the last couple of years and one of the all-time greats, to be honest. But I think there's a lot there. I like what they have. I'm a big Miles fan. I think he is terrific. My brother argues with me, he likes Camden Heide better. He thinks Camden Heide's the guy. And they both have to deal with Fletcher Lawyer for minutes. I think between the three of them, you can get, that's 80 minutes. You can get 30, 30, 20, or maybe 26, 26, 26, something like that. But there's enough minutes there for the three of them. And then you've got a third-year starting point guard in Braden Smith. And I think you have enough in the center spot between Berg and the freshman who did such a nice job down with the U18s that won the America's Cup or AmeriCup or whatever they call it with the FIBA U18 regional championship.
I think it's CONCACAF.
No.
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
That's right. I like it. I like it. We're getting ready for Copa America this week. But I think that there's a lot there. So between the two. And then UCLA returns a lot from what they had last year. Those guys all have to step up. But Jim, there was a time last year when they were a good team. What they were was a little bit fragile from a talent standpoint, and a lot fragile from a confidence standpoint. They really had fragile confidence. When they lost at home to Utah mid to late February, they lost late, and that broke their confidence again after they put together a really good run. They had a bunch of transfer portal additions. I think there's enough there for them to be in the picture, in the team picture with Purdue and Indiana. So I like what the Big Ten is going to be this year. I think it's going to be really exciting. You've got 18 teams now, and I don't think there's a bad one. I looked around and doing some research for a project that I had to do, and people were a lot of the projections I was seeing were predicting Penn State 18th, and I'm like, first of all, I don't agree with that at all.
No.
But second of all, if that's your 18th place team, you have a hell of a league.
Yeah, I mean Maryland, even Ohio State, who fire their coach last year and then go on a run, a good coach no less, but things weren't working, and then all of a sudden they make that change and they go on a good run. They get Bradshaw from Kentucky. They have added pieces. Maryland has been picking up. So it's going. I can't. It should be a much more fun league because Zach Edey is not in it. Because it's not so skewed. I think it is going to be a great battle of a lot of the things you just mentioned, but there's a lot more equality with these teams now, and it probably will end up going deeper than just 3 or 4 teams, because usually there's, you get your top couple, then you get your next section, and then it kind of changes. Boy, I think that top could really blend into the next section to be 5, 6 teams, especially now that there are 18 to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you've got the shoulds, and you've got the coulds, and you've got the maybes, and you've got the probably nots, but there aren't any definitely nots. and I think that's a key for this league. And a year ago, I think we expected Northwestern to be good, but there were still a lot of skeptics. And then they went out and had a great year. Nebraska, there wasn't anybody who thought Nebraska was going to break through like this. Maybe Fred Hoiberg, I'm sure he did, but there weren't many analysts who thought they were going to break through as they did, and they had a phenomenal year. So for me, college basketball's regular season is underrated, and I believe that the one positive of this conference expansion is that people are going to see how really cool the regular season can be. Because you think about the Big 12 with Arizona and Kansas now, and you think about the SEC with Texas moving and Oklahoma into that league. And then the ACC, which has been traditionally a powerful league. It hasn't done as well in the regular season, has still done well in March. I don't think they've added much to their pool, but I definitely know Stanford is going to get better. Kyle Smith is terrific. So they're going to get better. They're going to be highly competitive in the ACC, if not immediately, then in time. So I don't think they've added a ton, but they're fortunate that they added Stanford at the time when Stanford was smart enough to hire Kyle Smith.
Well, they lost one of their players to Indiana. I always get Kanan Carlisle. Is that the one that came from Stanford? I get him. I
believe he's the one that came from Stanford. Yes.
What's up next for you, sir?
I've got a huge project coming up. This month is the 30th anniversary of the World Cup coming to America, and how that has changed sports in this country, one sport in particular, obviously, over those 3 decades. And so I talked to a ton of people, and that will appear, thanks to the Celtics winning last night, that will now appear on Thursday on sportingnews.com, on all my social media, which frankly is only Twitter and Facebook. So, but it'll be up there, and I'm really excited about it.
Would that sport be pickleball?
Yes, exactly. The fastest growing sport in the world. Yes.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and thank you for enjoying our content and videos. And make sure you hit that subscribe and notifications toggle so you don't miss out on anything, whether it's Indiana Hoosiers, the Boilers, the Colts, the Pacers, Indiana high school action, whatever's happening in sports. We're trying to bring it all to you, and make sure you don't miss out on a thing. Again, hit the subscribe button for us. Helps us out a ton. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much.